Hey guys, it is Carly here bringing you your Tuesday review on body bags. This is week 238 and today I decided to go with a film that Mr. Austin Schroyer actually gave me, and that is Dark Skies. Now, this is a movie that I had heard about. I remember back in the day when I was in high school, I worked at this store and this dude I worked with told me how freaking scary he thought this movie was, and he said it was like the scariest thing he ever seen in his life, and blah blah blah. And the dude was kind of a weirdo, so I kind of just said like, oh yeah, I'll totally check it out, and then never ended up getting around to it just because I didn't really believe him that it was terrifying or anything. First of all, because I feel like people exaggerate on that, and also it just kind of fell under my radar for all this time. It sounded kind of like a generic, I don't know, like a paranormal generic movie to me, so just never got around to it. But Austin gave me a copy out of the kindness of his heart once again, and figured I might as well check it out now. Better reason since someone gave it to me and I didn't have to pay for it or anything. But anyway, the plot here is you have, this normal family. It consists of a mom, a dad, and a boy who is around 13, and then his little brother who's probably around like 5 or so, and they're just a normal family. They have some money issues and they fight a little bit, but they're just your typical family. But then one day some weird events start happening around the house. Like the mom keeps waking up late at night and going downstairs and finding that the kitchen's rearranged, and there's really no explanation as to why, because all the doors and windows are locked and the security system isn't working properly sometimes, and then sometimes it'll go off and nothing's going on, and then sometimes it doesn't go off. So they really are unsure of what is going on, and they begin to believe that their sons might have something to do with the events, because their youngest son keeps having these dreams about someone he calls the Sandman. So they're starting to suspect he might have something to do with it, and as things begin to progress, they decide that they have to take things into their own hands, because they realize they're dealing with something that is, out of the normal. It is something paranormal or not from this world. So that is your story there. I gotta say, my thoughts on this movie is I really, really enjoyed it. The characters in it are all very likable. I find the family to be, very likable. Sometimes when you have little kids in movies, they can be a bit annoying, but I didn't find the kids annoying at all. And the brothers in this film have a really solid relationship. They talk through walkie-talkies at night when they're in their bedrooms, and I just think it's very, heartwarming when you display siblings as getting along. I don't have any siblings of my own, but that's kind of the relationship I would want if I did have a brother or sister. They're not fighting all the time or anything like that. The older brother's very protective, and the parents, they're likable too. They obviously are arguing a little bit throughout the film, but it doesn't get overly excessive. It seems pretty realistic, parents arguing about money troubles and things like that. But so overall, I really like your main family that you're dealing with here. As far as the scare factor goes, I actually did find this to be really creepy. Not the scariest movie I've ever seen or anything like that kid had told me, but it was definitely a pretty scary film. It's brought to you by the producers of like Paranormal Activity and Insidious and Sinister and all those films that kind of have similar vibes to this. And this one definitely delivers. It's it's not a ghost film. It's actually an alien film, which I always find that type of stuff to be very scary. These paranormal / extraterrestrial films sometimes get repetitive and the plots seem, overdone. But for me, I'm kind of a sucker for them because I always find them to be pretty scary when done right, and this one definitely does the stuff right. There's not really a lot of jump scares or anything like that in this movie, which I really appreciated. I thought it was going to be, one of those ones where things kind of jump out at you. There's even a scene in it that kind of reminds me of a scene from Insidious, and that's probably the most jump scare-ish moment in it. But even then, it's not really a jump scare. It's just something you see and you're not expecting to see. There's no like loud bang or like annoying music or anything playing in the background. So I really appreciated that. The story's pretty solid in it. You know, like I said, it's another one of those movies. It's not overly original or anything like that, but at the same time, it's got a pretty good story behind it. And this is actually a PG-13 film, which I didn't realize. I've been watching a lot of PG-13 films lately. They're actually pretty solid. You know, with a movie like this, you really don't need it to be R or anything like that. You just need to rely on atmosphere and scares, and I think it really works in that element. And by the ending, I think it has a pretty, you know, downbeat ending, which is surprising. I didn't think it was going to, you know, I thought everything was going to be okay by the end, but it's actually kind of a sad and downbeat ending. It's, you know, it's not overly depressing or anything like that, but I just thought it was pretty solid ending. I wasn't disappointed with it or anything. It just wasn't what I expected. I thought it would be a little more positive, but I like my downbeat endings as well. So overall, I thought this was a great film, great characters, solid story, and you know, if you're looking for a movie that relies on just atmosphere and just, you know, weird stuff going on, but not in-your-face jump scares, I would definitely recommend checking this one out. Dark Skies, I gave it an 8 out of 10, so that is that. Thank you guys once again for joining me for this Tuesday review, and I will see you next week.